You walk into a store for something simple. Maybe it's food, maybe it's clothes, maybe it's just a quick, I'll grab one thing and go. And then it happens. You pick it up, you look at the price, and there's this tiny pause in your brain. Not shock, not outrage, just confusion. Because something feels off. The number isn't crazy enough to make you drop it immediately, but it's also not low enough to feel like a good deal, and somehow, you still buy it. Then later, maybe that same day you regret it. Not because you couldn't afford it, but because it didn't feel worth it. The food wasn't that good. The quality wasn't that great. The experience didn't match the price. And now you're sitting there thinking, why do I keep doing this? Here's the part no one tells you. That feeling, that quiet, hard to explain friction when you spend money, that's not you being bad with money. That's your brain detecting something it hasn't been taught to name yet. Because what you're experiencing isn't random. It's engineered. And once you see the pattern behind it, you're going to start noticing it everywhere, every store, every app, every deal. By the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why so many things don't feel worth your money anymore. And more importantly, how to stop falling into the trap without turning your life into some extreme budgeting experiment. Hey, I'm Brian, and I spend way too much time thinking about why smart people feel broke even when they're doing everything right. And there's one pattern that keeps showing up again and again. I call it quality erosion under inflation camouflage. Sounds technical, but here's what it really means. Companies aren't just raising prices. They're quietly making things worse at the same time, and betting you won't notice. Smaller portions, cheaper materials, lower durability, less service. All hidden behind normal-looking price increases so your brain blames inflation instead of what's actually happening. Because if prices went up and quality stayed the same, you'd notice immediately. And if quality dropped but prices stayed the same, you'd notice that too. But when both happen together, your brain struggles to isolate the problem. Behavioral economists sometimes refer to this kind of confusion as a form of perceived value distortion. Your internal calculator is working perfectly, it just doesn't have clean data anymore. So you don't stop spending. You just feel worse every time you do. And if you want the highest ROI you can get on your time, hit subscribe because this channel is basically peer review for the weird financial decisions we all make but rarely question out loud. Now, once you see this pattern, it becomes impossible to unsee. Let's start with the places where the value collapse is the most obvious. Number 1. Thrifting and secondhand shopping. This one used to be the ultimate hack. You'd find high-quality clothes for a fraction of the price. It felt like beating the system. But something changed. Since 2019, secondhand prices have jumped by roughly 47%, while the quality of donated items has dropped by around 30%, according to resale market analyses and nonprofit retail reports. Why? Because fast fashion flooded the donation pipeline. So now instead of finding durable, well-made pieces, you're digging through items that were designed to fall apart after 10 washes. And stores caught on. They started pricing based on brand perception, not actual quality. This creates what I call nostalgia pricing bias. Your brain remembers what thrifting used to feel like, so it assumes the value is still there. You're not bad at spotting deals. You're using outdated data. The reframe? Stop treating secondhand as automatically cheap. Treat it like any other purchase. Inspect quality first. Ignore the label. Number 2. Fast food. This one is almost absurd when you step back. Fast food was built on 3 promises: cheap, quick, convenient. Now? Between 2019 and now, prices have risen by about 47%, while average wages have grown closer to 12%. So, what used to be a $7 meal is now pushing $18 to $20 in many places. And the quality didn't improve. If anything, portion sizes shrank and ingredients got cheaper. This is a classic case of price anchor drift. Your brain is still anchored to the idea that fast food equals cheap, even though the numbers have moved. You're not overspending. Your mental benchmark is outdated. The reframe? Once fast food crosses into sit-down restaurant pricing, it loses its entire advantage. At that point, you're paying for convenience, So decide consciously if that convenience is actually worth it. Number 3. Drugstore makeup. This one got sneaky. Drugstore brands used to dominate on affordability. That was the whole point. But over the past few years, prices crept up quietly. Now you'll see mascaras hitting $20 to $28, foundations pushing into the $25 plus range. At that point, you're sitting right next to entry-level luxury brands. And according to cosmetic industry reports, the formulation differences at that level are often minimal. This creates something called category collapse. The gap between cheap and premium shrinks so much that your brain defaults to brand perception instead of value. You're not irrational for choosing the more expensive option. The system removed the meaningful difference. The reframe? When price gaps shrink, comparison matters more than labels. Sometimes spending slightly more gets you disproportionately better quality, but only if you're choosing deliberately. Now let's move into where things get even more subtle. Because the next category doesn't just take your money. It convinces you it's saving you time. If you're new here and just subscribed, comment your name below. I read every comment and shout out new subscribers in my next video. I do appreciate you joining me on this finance journey. Number 4. Streaming services. This one started as a rebellion. One platform, low price, no ads, total freedom. Then slowly, subscriptions stacked. 1 became 2. 2 became 4. 4 became, I guess I need this one too. And suddenly, you're paying over $100 per month, which is almost exactly what cable used to cost. A 2023 consumer report found that over 60% of users underestimate their total subscription spending. Why? Because of something called subscription fragmentation bias. Your brain processes each $10 or $15 charge individually, instead of combining them into one total. You're not careless. The pricing model is designed to stay below your pain threshold per decision. The reframe? Bundle your own subscriptions mentally. Treat them like one bill, because that's what they are. Number 5. Online shopping with fees. This one feels personal. You see something for $40. You click, add to cart. Feels reasonable. Then checkout hits. Shipping, taxes, import duties, processing fees. Suddenly it's $80, $100, sometimes even $120. And here's the wild part. Studies in e-commerce behavior show that cart abandonment rates jump above 70% when surprise fees appear, which means most people walk away. But here's the twist. That frustration you feel? That's actually your brain protecting you. This is called checkout shock response. Your brain finally sees the real price, without the illusion. You're not indecisive. You're reacting to new information. The reframe? Treat the final price as the only real price. And if it feels wrong at checkout, it was always wrong, you just couldn't see it yet. And here's where things get even more interesting. Because up to this point, you've been dealing with rising costs and shrinking value. But the next category? It's not about price at all. It's about your brain being deliberately pulled into wanting things you never needed in the first place. Now we move into the category where the game completely changes. Because this isn't just about things getting worse or more expensive. This is about things being engineered to feel irresistible. Number 6. Viral products. You've seen this one play out. A water bottle suddenly becomes a status symbol. A specific sneaker drops and disappears in minutes. A must-have item floods your feed until it feels like everyone owns it except you. And the craziest part? A lot of these products are normal, functionally interchangeable with dozens of cheaper alternatives. But they don't feel interchangeable. Because what you're experiencing is something called manufactured scarcity signaling. Brands intentionally limit supply, control release, timing, and amplify social proof to create the illusion that owning the product means you're part of something. According to consumer behavior research from Stanford, scarcity can increase perceived value by over 200%, even when the product itself doesn't change. You're not easily influenced. Your brain is wired to associate scarcity with importance. In evolutionary terms, scarce things mattered more. Companies just figured out how to simulate that signal on demand. The reframe? Pause the moment something feels urgent. Because real value doesn't expire in 10 minutes. If it disappears and your life is unchanged, it was never essential. Number 7. Protein and wellness snacks. This one hides behind good intentions. You're trying to be healthier, eat better, make smarter choices. So you reach for the protein bar, the high-protein yogurt, the functional snack. And suddenly you're paying 200% to 300% more than you would for basic whole foods. Here's the uncomfortable truth. In many cases, a simple combination like eggs, beans, or oats delivers similar or better nutritional value at a fraction of the cost. But it doesn't feel the same because of something called health halo pricing. When a product is labeled as healthy, your brain automatically assigns it higher value and becomes less sensitive to the price. A study published in the Journal of Consumer Research found that people underestimate calories and overestimate value when food is marketed as healthy. You're not being tricked because you're naive. You're responding to a signal your brain has been trained to trust. The reframe? Separate nutrition from branding. Instead of asking, "Is this healthy?" ask, "Is this worth the price compared to simpler alternatives?" Because most of the time, you're not paying for nutrition. You're paying for packaging. Now, let's go deeper. Because the next category is where things get the most deceptive. Not because the products are bad, but because they're designed to look better than they actually are. Number 8. Luxury fashion. This one is almost uncomfortable to talk about, because luxury used to mean something very specific. Exceptional craftsmanship, premium materials, long-term durability. But over the past decade, something shifted. Investigations into global supply chains have shown that some luxury items like handbags can cost as little as $50 to $70 to manufacture, while retailing for $2,000 to over $3,000. And in some cases, production has moved into the same factories used by mid-tier or even fast fashion brands. So what changed? It's something called quality signaling decoupling. The price is no longer tightly connected to the product itself. It's connected to what the product signals about you. Status, taste, identity. You're not foolish for wanting nice things. Humans are social creatures. Signaling matters. But the system evolved. It realized it could sell the signal without maintaining the same level of substance. The reframe? If you're buying luxury, know exactly what you're paying for. If it's craftsmanship, verify it. If it's status, own that consciously. But don't confuse the two. Number 9. Fast fashion. This one is the other side of the same coin. Fast fashion promised accessibility, trendy clothes, low prices, constant variety. But here's what happened over time. Since around 2000, clothing prices have increased by roughly 118%, while average garment quality has dropped by about 30 to 40%, according to textile durability studies. And in some extreme cases, independent testing has found certain ultra-fast fashion items containing chemical levels up to 20 times above recommended safety limits. So you're paying more for items that last less and may even carry hidden costs. This creates what I call disposability conditioning. Your brain stops expecting things to last. So, instead of questioning the purchase, you normalize, replacing it. You're not wasteful. You adapted to a system that rewards short-term use. The reframe? Shift from cost per item to cost per wear. A $10 shirt worn twice is more expensive than a $50 shirt worn 50 times. Once you see that, the entire model breaks. Number 10. Mid-tier affordable luxury brands. This is where things get really subtle. Brands that position themselves as ethical, premium, but still accessible. They use clean branding, transparent messaging, words like sustainable, minimal, timeless. And they charge anywhere from 200% to 400% more than comparable fast fashion items. But multiple industry analyses have shown that many of these brands source from the same or similar factories as lower-cost competitors. So, what are you actually paying for? Often, the story. This is called narrative premium bias. When a product comes with a compelling story, ethical sourcing, craftsmanship, sustainability, your brain assigns additional value to that story. Even when the underlying product doesn't fully justify the markup, you're not gullible for caring about ethics or quality. Those are valid priorities. But the market learned how to package those values and price them separately. The reframe? Don't just buy the narrative. Look for proof. Because real quality and real ethics leave evidence, not just messaging. If you step back for a second, something becomes very clear. None of these are isolated. This isn't just about thrift stores, or fast food, or subscriptions, or clothes. It's the same pattern repeating across completely different industries. Prices rising, quality slipping, perception being carefully managed in between. And the result? You. Standing there, holding something, thinking, why doesn't this feel worth it anymore? Now you know why. And more importantly, you know it's not you. You're not bad with money for feeling frustrated after spending. You're perceptive for noticing the gap between price and value. You're not impulsive for buying things that looked appealing in the moment. You're human for responding to systems designed to capture your attention and lower your resistance. And you're not falling behind because your money doesn't stretch like it used to. You're adapting to an environment where stretching it has been made intentionally harder. That awareness alone? That's worth thousands of dollars a year. Because once you see these patterns, you stop playing the game blindly. You pause more. You compare differently. You walk away faster. Not out of restriction, but out of clarity. So, I'm curious. Which one of these hit you the hardest? Was it the subscriptions quietly stacking in the background? The stuff that doesn't last like it used to? Or the things you bought that just didn't feel worth it? Let me know in the comments. And if this clicked for you, there's a deeper layer to this: how pricing psychology shapes almost every financial decision you make without you realizing it. That's what we'll break down next.